Hello fellow coffee botherers, in this video we're going to be talking about the 3 brand new grinders from Eureka. The Eureka Mignon Oro Single Dose Pro, Mignon 65 All-Purpose and Mignon Libra 65 All-Purpose. This is an overview video to introduce these 3 grinders. I'll also do a quick individual review of each, but this isn't an in-depth review. I'll use each grinder for longer and then do an individual review of each one. What's new about these grinders? These are all 65mm flat burr grinders, while most of Eureka's home grinders so far have had 50 or 55mm flat burrs. They have a new, very interesting looking grinding mechanism, enclosed dosing cups, blind top burrs meaning no screw holes in the burrs, and the new metal anti-popcorning latch. Single Dose Pro and Mignon 65 All-Purpose both have blow-up hoppers, anti-chaff chutes.
I've got a cream for that.
Thank you. And are built on an incline. The burrs. The burrs are 65mm, black diamond inside burrs, and there are 4 types of burr, meaning 4 different burr geometries. The 65 AP and Libra 65 AP come with the all-purpose burrs. These are described by Eureka as being designed for all brewing methods and to aid in clarity and brightness with light to medium roasts. The Single Dose Pro comes with the Italian espresso taste burrs. These are espresso specialist burrs aimed at medium dark to dark roasts. And there are 2 other burr sets available specifically for the Single Dose Pro. The espresso specialty burrs are designed for light to medium roast espresso coffee beans, and the brew special burrs are for light to medium roast for manual brew methods. I've just mentioned coffee beans, so this would be the perfect opportunity to talk about our sponsor. I was supposed to be promoting a brand of ice packs for joint pain, but they gave me the cold shoulder. So this week's sponsor, surprisingly, is me. My coffee from the Coffee Works is very freshly roasted, usually on the day of dispatch. We have recipe and dialing in guides for all of our coffees, and we give top-notch customer service. If you don't believe me, read through the reviews. By the way, if you're a customer and you agree with what I've just said about the customer support, please back me up in the comments. Cheers! And if you want to test me on that, use the discount code YT25 for 25% off your first order at cworks.co.uk. The adjustment mechanism. As you can see, the dial is bigger on the new mechanism, which I think a lot of people will appreciate. One of the common gripes about the other Eureka grinders is that the adjustment dial is a bit small. Although you can get mods like this one for the other Eureka Mignon grinders, which are very simple to attach. One of the key things about the new mechanism is the revolution counter. This means that every time you've completed a turn, the number changes so you know exactly where you are. Enclosed dosing cups. As you can see, all 3 grinders have a lid on the dosing cup that makes a complete seal. They're slightly different for each, but the idea is to reduce the potential mess and make for slightly cleaner grinding. Anti-popcorning disc. This is a metal disc with holes in which serves a few purposes. One is that if you close it a few seconds after starting the grind, it acts as an anti-popcorning device, meaning that it stops the beans bouncing all over the hopper. So I've noticed that when you close the popcorning disc, this happens. Whoa, amazing. Also, this allows for a slightly different workflow style, where you drop your dose in, start the grinder running and then release the latch and close it again after a few seconds. Why you'd want to adopt this particular workflow style? Because it's fun, of course. There is another potential benefit of this disc, which I'll talk about shortly. The hoppers. All 3 grinders have a rounded hopper versus the original square hoppers that I wasn't a big fan of, and the plastic feels slightly thicker. The 0 AP and Single Dose Pro both have a blow-up hopper, the bellows. The Libra doesn't, as it's not intended for single dosing. How much are they? The current prices in the UK at Clumsy Goat and the USA at Whole Latte Love are: Single Dose Pro is £599 or $689, the 65 All-Purpose is £429 or $500, and the Libra 65 All-Purpose is £699 or $816. Quick reviews. Mignon Oro Single Dose Pro. Dimensions 13.5cm wide to the edge of the dial, 26cm deep and 35.5cm tall. 320 watt direct drive motor, 1650 RPM, ELR system, extremely low retention, referring to the 15-degree incline design coupled with the anti-chaff chute, the blind top burr and the bellows. Grinding time, Eureka says 2.5 to 3 grams per second for espresso and 3 to 4.1 grams per second for brew. I've only used it for espresso, so I'll have to take their word for the grinding time for manual brew. For espresso, I was timing it at about 7 to 8 seconds to grind 18 grams, so about 2.25 to 2.6 grams per second. Exchange retention, meaning how much coffee enters the basket from the last time you ground, is usually from 0 to 0.2 grams when using the bellows. If you don't use the bellows, it's still usually under half a gram from my testing. It's very solid, it's almost identical in size to the Mignon Speciality, but it's over 1.5 kilos heavier at 7.2 kilos. The only thing I'm not sure about with the looks, being picky, is whether it needed to say Single Dose Pro on the front, and if it did, I'm not sure why they put it in yellow, personally. The black text on the other two looks cooler to me, but personally, to make it ultra cool, I wouldn't even want text on it. I've only used it with the included Italian espresso taste burrs so far, with medium dark roasts, and I've not done any side-by-side testing, but I've made some very nice tasting shots with it. It's quiet and it's very clean. The enclosed dosing cup works really well. I mentioned earlier that there's another potential benefit of the anti-popcorning disc, and that is that in theory, if you pump the bellows with the latch closed, it amplifies the power of the airflow by directing it through the slits. I've tried this and it does appear to work as intended. If I put my hand under the chute and pump the bellows with the same force, I can feel the airflow more with the disc in place. Without the latch. And with. Without. The only thing I'm not really sure of with this grinder is the way the wooden base sits onto the frame. It's magnetic in the centre, but then it has these 4 little rubber feet and it just doesn't seem to work properly. It never seems to want to sit where it's supposed to. So, you see that? As I moved that out, then it moved off. I mean, you could just knock it and it's a bit annoying. If I bought this would irritate the crap out of me. And I'd take these rubber feet off and replace them with 4 little magnets. Mignon 065 all-purpose. Dimensions 13.5 centimetres wide, 22 centimetres deep and 35.5 centimetres tall. 310 watt direct drive motor. 1,350 RPM, no ELR on this one. It does have the bellows, of course, and the anti-chaff chute, but it's on a lesser 5-degree incline, which is why I'm assuming they're not referring to this one as having the extremely low retention system. Grinding time about 0.8 to 1.2 grams for espresso and 2.5 to 3 grams per second at coarser settings for manual brew. The exchange retention is very low as long as you use the bellows, usually about 0.3 grams, except for when making bigger grind adjustments. When you're making big changes to and from espresso and filter, for example, you'll find it has bigger exchange retention, usually only about 1.5 grams though, so not huge. As with the Single Dose Pro, it's a clean grinder thanks to the enclosed dosing cup. You can choose to grind directly into your portafilter if you prefer, and the portafilter cradle is adjusted with this screw, so you don't need a screwdriver, which is handy. I really like the feel of the cradle when dosing into a portafilter. The only negative for me is you can't drop the cradle low enough to dose into a portafilter with a dosing funnel. Libra 65 AP. Dimensions 13.5 centimetres wide, 22 centimetres deep and 41 centimetres tall. 310 watt direct drive motor again, 1,350 RPM again, grinding time 0.8 to 1.2 grams per second for espresso, 2.5 to 3 grams per second at coarser testings for manual brew again, and no incline and no bellows. So this is more or less the same as the 065 AP, but it has the digital screen. It's not quite as low retention and it's grind by weight, so you just set your dose and then it'll grind the same dose weight every time until you change it. Exchange retention is similar to the 0 AP. It's still low, usually about half a gram while staying at the same grind size, and up to about 1.5 grams when making bigger grind adjustments. It's just as quiet and as clean as the other two. I really like the shape of the dosing cup on this one. It's a bit different. Also, I'm happy to say that I've not struggled with the FH error. This is the error that indicates a portafilter or dosing cup hasn't been properly detected, and I did encounter that a few times with the original Libra. I've only had it with this the very first time I used it, and I didn't have it on a flat section of the bench. By the way, if you're wondering what 100% tested means, like how can you not test something at 100% unless you bail out on the test partway through, that means they've calibrated it in the factory, as I know from speaking to Eureka.
Coffee Game comment of the week!
Q Styler commented on how to remove the bottom burr on the Sage or Breville grinders. He says, would be really nice to see all from above.
Watch this. Remove these two washers. Remove the bottom burr. Remove the impeller. Very carefully remove the felt. I'll also put a link to it in the description. Cheers! Before signing off, I just want to tell you about channel memberships. Members get early access to each video, a members-only community, priority comment, replies, custom emojis, and more. If you want to join in the fun, click on the join button, which is down here somewhere just below my right tap shoe. Thank you very much for watching, and a very special thank you to all the new channel members. If you enjoyed this video, drop us a like, it really helps. And if you want more coffee content, click on my face to subscribe. Tatty bye!